There's a version of service that feels good in the moment. You show up, you do the thing, you help. You go home tired in a way that feels earned. And there's real value in that, and I genuinely believe it. But I've been thinking about the difference between helping and mattering. Helping is showing up to fill a need that someone else defined. Helping is useful. Helping is kind. Mattering is different. Mattering means the community would notice if you were gone. Alpha Phi Omega members serve thousands of hours every semester, and that is genuinely something. But I keep coming back to this question. Of all of those hours, how much of it moved from helping to service that matters? That's a question worth sitting with, and that's what we're here to explore today. Welcome to Leading for Good, the Alpha Phi Omega Story, and our national podcast. I'm Chris Meschuk. Last episode, we talked about what inclusive chapters actually feel like. Not the policy version, but the lived version. Members who had to find their place, officers actively working to build cultures where belonging comes first. This episode, we turn outward. Today, we're asking, what do we actually do in the world? And what does it mean to do it well? Our vision in APO is to build inclusive communities, and service is one of APO's 3 cardinal principles. And a principle isn't a program or a requirement. Principles don't just describe what you do, they describe who you are. And so the question this episode is asking isn't how many service hours did we log, it's what kind of service organization are we? And there's a version of service that's transactional, where you show up, you help, and you leave. And that's real and useful. And then there's service that's relational, built on real knowledge of a community, sustained over time, oriented around not what's convenient, but what's needed. And that kind of service is harder, and it's more meaningful for everyone involved. And I've got 2 guests here to help me unpack that today. Lilly Thomson from the Gamma Upsilon chapter at Tulane University, and Max Green from the Theta Alpha chapter at the Stevens Institute of Technology. So welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, so to get started, I'd love to hear a little bit about both of your APO stories. So Lilly, let's have you go first.
Sure. So my name is Lilly Thomson. I'm from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, but I attend school at Tulane University, and I joined APO my freshman fall, which has now been 2 full years, and it's been the highlight of my college experience. And through APO, I've served on application committee as well as philanthropy chair, and now serving as president going into my 2nd semester.
Nice. Okay, Max, what about you?
Hello, my name is Max Green. I'm a rising senior at Stevens Institute of Technology. I joined APO also my freshman fall, so now 3 years going. In that time, I've been the outreach chair for now finishing up my 2nd year, and it's also been a great time, very transformative.
Awesome. Okay, so thanks for sharing that, and let's dive right in here. So I want to start with something maybe kind of specific, and maybe have you all tell me about a time that you did service that felt like it actually mattered. And so Max, maybe I'll turn to you to go first.
Sure. So the one that really comes to mind first is our most recent Spring Youth Service Day. So this is a national program, but the way we've done it recently is we invite a lot of families from the local area, from both schools, like parent groups, to our campus, put on some events, usually throughout the day. And this year, the purpose was to build curiosity in the community, especially around STEM topics. So for a technology school like ours, this is very close to home. So we have a lot of different ways to kind of exhibit that those types of demos. So like I led a robotics demo, for example. We also had 3D printing demos, workshops or activities for buoyancy experiment, lots of that kind of thing. But it was really, really impactful to see. We had around 20 families in attendance this year, all with kids in like middle school, elementary school. And it was just really, really nice to see the fruits of our labor kind of setting up these events when these kids were lighting up with excitement at going between events and pulling their parents along to visit each of the next stations. And we hope that that kind of thing really does build curiosity for them to go forward as maybe future engineers.
Oh, I love that. So maybe let's dive deeper into that. Like, what what was one of your favorite moments when you were working with those kids where either you saw the kind of the light bulb spark or the curiosity or imagination kind of light up? Like, is there a paint us a picture of maybe one of those moments?
Sure. So I, like I said, was leading the robotics demo. I'm very involved in our robotics club as well, so it was only natural. But I was doing a demonstration of we build competition robots, and they're understandably pretty complex. So I was kind of showing off some of the different features and how the robots move around, how they work. And these kids who were again maybe 10 years old were had such insightful questions about how does each of the components work, or why did you choose this over something else. The parents also had some questions, but that was not quite as directed. But it was just really nice to see like they were actually understanding what was going on, and that curiosity was very, very clear through their questions, which I was hopeful that it would be like that, but it was just really nice to see it actually pan out.
Oh, that's super cool. That's awesome. Lily, how about you? Tell us maybe a moment for you where service mattered.
So I started a nonprofit called Pencils with Passion in May of 2022 that connected to my Girl Scout Gold Award. And basically, the nonprofit connects schools and communities in Oklahoma to schools in the Dominican Republic. And through that, we've supported over 600 students, delivering over 2 tons of school supplies thus far. But I would say one of my most impactful moments that I will remember for the rest of my life is I believe it was our first delivery during the school year that we did, where we brought suitcases full of supplies and um, brought a globe, and they were like pointing out their home on a map, and even the teachers were like working toward it, and it was really interesting to see. Um, and then I got to see a couple kids hold markers, and they had seen them, but they'd never used them before. And I can't even express the emotions that were had that day, because it was like they were so excited to like have their own backpack that was maybe their favorite color, or like color with markers that weren't like just broken crayons. It was really just an experience that I wish I could have every single day. It's just that was an amazing experience.
That's so cool, and I want to dive into that a little bit more. So you've been doing this. You started as a part of your Gold Award. It's now been what almost 4 years.
Yeah.
Uh, what has that kind of sustained impact felt like for you, where you've been able to continue to provide school supplies and have, I'm guessing, multiple times of those moments of things like holding a marker for the first time?
Yeah. So originally, whenever I was going into my Gold Award, I wanted to do something that would be impactful and meaningful, which is exactly what we're talking about today. And I really originally thought it was going to be a one-time school supply drive. It just really grew, and it's been really awesome to work through getting supplies that were donated from people from high school that I graduated 2 years ago, or meeting people in different places that hear about what I'm doing and they want to send me supplies from 10 states over, and kind of being able to rope everyone in and all learn together about what different communities need around us, and kind of be able to listen to what's needed and translate that into gathering materials and purchasing materials and bringing them over 1 to 2 times a year, and just kind of growing as we go. Is it started from one school with a couple hundred students, and now it's 2 schools with over 600.
That's so cool. So cool. Congratulations on what momentum. That's so awesome.
Thank you.
So maybe that's where we'll take that to kind of the next level of, you have those experiences where you get to volunteer and you kind of, you show up and you do the thing and you leave. And then there's those times where you're volunteering and all of a sudden you have that like realization of like, oh crap, I'm making a difference here. Like what I'm doing is impactful. So I'd love to hear for either of you that moment where all of a sudden you realize you're going from volunteer to like being someone that they knew, or that all of a sudden you were making a difference in their lives.
I would say it first starts with finding something that's important to you. I believe people are much more connected to service whenever it's something that maybe ties to a personal hobby that they have, or something that they did growing up, or a family member that maybe had a certain interest. Like, for example, I love volunteering with Tulane University Special Olympics because my brother is disabled and did Special Olympics growing up. And so that's like a heartfelt connection to me. And I think that whenever someone finds something that is service related, that ties something they're passionate about to it, that makes it so much more meaningful and impactful for everyone involved, whether it's you emotionally and your connection and relationship to that community partner. And then that can bring more like connections to the chapter overall to get more people interested in service. I think that that's a huge part of it, because when people have passion involved, it makes it more meaningful and overall just grow into an incredible relationship.
Um, yeah, what comes to mind again from the kind of engineering robotics perspective is uh, other students who end up mentoring, for example, their high school robotics team, or go back to mentoring a team in the area. And that's something that I absolutely know can have a substantial impact. As I was on a robotics team in my high school as well, there's so much appreciation for the people who are volunteering their time to help out and really care about the program and the kids who are involved. And even just kind of on a similar idea to the Spring Youth Service Day, like taking that engineering background to, for example, we have the Liberty Science Center near us that hosts National Engineers Week. And we send a whole lot of people there each year to do kind of similar activities with demonstrating different types of engineering aspects to younger children. And when they have that passion, that real drive, or that, and even an excitement to show off what they know to these younger kids and get them excited, that's really when you can have the most impact.
Yeah. So maybe let's take that actually as the springboard to shift gears a little bit, but talk about developing a service program within your chapters. So we want to explore chapters that want to kind of take their service program and make it more meaningful and developing it, and kind of shift from that maybe more shallow volunteer connection to that deeper learning and impact. What are ideas or recommendations based on your experiences that you would pass along to another chapter?
I would say chapter feedback is a vital aspect of doing that successfully. Whenever you take more than just maybe e-boards opinions into the service that you do as a chapter, that can really transform what you're doing. Because if someone has a niche interest in a certain sport, and they might be thinking, oh, there's not a service opportunity for that, there absolutely highly likely is. And whenever you work with the like service vice presidents and like service and philanthropy committee, like in our chapter, if you have ideas, we have Google Forms and a very open communication atmosphere of our chapter. And that really, I think, makes it impactful for everyone, because when everyone has a say in the service that they do at a personal and chapter level, then that kind of can like rocket launch your service overall.
My recommendation would be kind of to start small, even regardless of what size your chapter service program might be. Um, Take the things you're interested in, or your brothers are interested in. Take other events you may have seen from the community, for example, and you can mimic those same types of events. It's really, there's no shame in taking someone else's idea, especially if you're doing service. There's only more good to come out of things.
And Max, as you were talking, that actually reminded me I was totally snooping on LinkedIn, and I saw your Section P3 Individual Service Award that you recently got. And there's a service event that your chapter does for the campus. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So this is admittedly kind of more of a fun event, but it is definitely what we would call service to the campus. Each semester towards the end, we put on a finals breakfast, as we call it, to, as the name kind of implies, give out breakfast to 400 or 500 students just throughout one big day. It's like a 7-hour session. But there's a lot of planning that goes into that for like actually sourcing all the food, picking it up day of, getting all the volunteers necessary to let 400 people through one big line to get food. But it is a really good time to kind of give back. I know a lot of other clubs, for example, might give out cookies or do a little bake sale or something. And those are all obviously good in their own rights. But it does feel pretty good to see like those numbers going up and up and up because it means that they're people we've helped out.
Yeah, that's really cool. I studied architecture and city planning in college, and for us, finals was always really crazy. You had to do this final project, and you'd spend all night in the architecture building, and going to breakfast after you've spent an all-nighter in the building was literally one of my most favorite things ever. And it's like this core memory of finals every year. So that's really cool. It just made me think of that. I love it.
Yeah, we hope to be that kind of rock that people can come to. Maybe that's a little dramatic, but come get your bagel, get your donuts, get some fruit, drinks, and snacks. Go on with the rest of your day a little bit smarter, a little bit
Yeah,
happier, maybe.
I love it. That's so good.
That would make me happier during finals.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I do have one that kind of sticks out. As you get to know some of these organizations or their leadership, you'll find out that oftentimes the people who are running these big events or setting up these volunteer programs, they're just people too. And they want to have an impact. They like seeing the people around them get involved. So, for example, someone in the Hoboken Family Alliance, their special needs director, actually, I've had kind of the chance to build up a slightly closer relationship with over these last couple of years just by going to the events and coordinating other people for the events. So now if we see each other around on campus or around in Hoboken, we can have a little conversation about, what kind of other events are coming up, what can we help out with, if there's any opportunities that we might not have found out otherwise. And this is just something that's kind of come naturally from, again, like you said, going back to being a kind of recurring face, even not just as an individual, but as a chapter. And also then the brothers obviously like doing these same kinds of events year after year.
To echo off of that a little bit, um, we as a chapter, we also strive to do like cross campus connections within the community. This past semester, we've done a lot of work with different like multicultural orgs on campus and local outreach through other clubs as well to kind of grow impact. And I know that for chapters that are on the like lower end of like membership, that partnering with other organizations around your campus or local partnerships going out and doing service, whether it's a trash cleanup or um, a different kind of partnership at a different organization, if you partner with other groups, sometimes then you can kind of have more direct impact as a larger group of people doing service. And that can kind of help with outreach as well.
That's great. Yeah, that's really good. I like that. Like the force multiplier approach to it. It's good.
I had one quick thing that I don't think I touched on, but I wanted to. Um, I think it's really important when you're out in the community trying new service events to hear from the organizations. I think sometimes people kind of look over a website and think, oh, this is what we're going to be doing. Check the box. Great. But whenever you are wanting to really build those lasting relationships with organizations and community partners, if you're listening to them about what their mission is and what they want to complete and work toward as a goal, ultimately years down the line, and how you can be a part of that, if you listen to the steps that they want you to take, whether it's at a smaller or larger scale, that can really be a huge part of the impact that you have, because you may think like doing one thing will be the greatest impact that you can have, but it might be smaller steps along the way that Max touched on earlier. That smaller bits and pieces can really be the make or break of that organization reaching the big goal.
Well, Max, Lilly, thank you so much for joining me today, for sharing your insights, your talents, and your dedication to APO. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It was great speaking with y'all.
Thanks again. Yeah, this has been great.
So here's what makes this conversation that we just had especially important in Alpha Phi Omega. And we talked about this at the tee up, that service is a cardinal principle, and that's not like a metric, it's a principle. And a principle isn't something that you just do once a week. It's something that shapes how you approach everything. But here's what I think is true about how our three cardinal principles connect in this context of the conversation that we were just having. The service that actually becomes the most meaningful, the kind that we've been talking about today, it's almost always rooted then in friendship. And Max talked about that a little bit. It's not just friendship with other APO members, although that matters too. It's friendship with communities that you're there to serve. Knowing people by name, caring about how things turn out for them, helping them achieve their big goal that they're trying to get to. And it also means showing up when it's inconvenient because you're in a relationship and you're not just fulfilling a requirement. So let's make this conversation practical, because I think there's a version of this conversation that stays kind of abstract. Meaningful service, yes, obviously, but then nothing really changes. So here's 3 things that you can actually do to start to implement this. Number 1, pick one partner and go deeper. You don't have to rebuild your entire service program. Look at your calendar, pick one community partner. Ideally, one you've been working with for at least a semester. Decide that this is the relationship that you're going to actually invest in. Learn more about their mission. Ask what would make the biggest difference this coming semester. Assign a specific chapter member to own the relationship, not just the logistics. And you heard that's part of what Max, the position that he holds in his chapter, is the outreach chair. Because that one deep partnership is worth more than 10 shallow ones. Number 2, replace one assumption with a question. So before your next service project, and it could be any project, ask the community partner one question you've never asked before. Not what time should we arrive, but what are you working on right now that's hard? Or what would be most useful that you haven't been able to ask for? You don't have to act on the answer immediately, but you'll probably learn something. And that act of asking changes the relationship and might open new doors for your chapter. Number 3, talk about meaning, not just the hours. So at your next chapter or officer meeting, ask this: which of our service partnerships feels most meaningful to the people in this room, and why? Not which one logs the most hours, which one feels real. And gather that feedback from your chapter, because that conversation will tell you a lot about where your chapter's energy wants to go. And if there's no obvious answer, that's worth knowing too, so you can dig in deeper with your members. So as we close, we've reached the end of the spring semester and we're headed into the summer. So we're going to try something a little bit different for the summer months. We're going to only do one episode per month, and it's going to be geared towards active members and alumni. So the next episode, we're going to hear from an inspiring APO alum, someone who's taken meaningful service to the next level. And we're going to ask them, what did APO actually give you? Not the resume line, but like the real thing. And I think you're really going to want to hear this conversation. So happy summer to all of our active members out there. Congratulations on graduation to the class of 2026. We can't wait to see how you're going to go out and change the world. And remember, when we lead for good, we change more than our chapters, we change ourselves.